Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app from the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the words Spot Media. Controversial Jamaican Muslim cleric Sheikh Abdullah Al-Faisal is currently in court where an attempt is being made to secure bail. He was remanded on August 28 when he appeared before the St. Andrew Parish Court for his extradition hearing. Al-Faisal was arrested in Kingston on August 25 by members of the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Branch on an extradition warrant. In documents submitted to the Jamaican authorities for his extradition, the U.S. government accused him of recruiting persons to join the international terrorist group ISIS. In the indictment, the Jamaican cleric is also accused of aiding and abetting acts of terrorism internationally. Jamaica's airspace was reopened at 7 o'clock this morning after a lightning strike disrupted services and forced its shutdown all weekend. The Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, JCAA, said the closure was to facilitate the restoration of operations at the Kingston Air Traffic Control Center. On Friday, a lightning strike destroyed the voice control switch that monitors the air-to-ground voice communications as well as the air traffic management computer systems. Deputy Director General of Air Navigation Services at the JCAA, Carl Gainier, says a contingency plan was implemented to enable the reopening of the airspace on a limited basis on Saturday night. The Transport Minister pointed out that while the incident was beyond human control, he will be looking at measures to prevent a recurrence. These include the installation of lightning arresters.
Final report. But I can't hold technicians responsible for an act of God and anything that relates to the issues that relate to electrical fault. All the wires have to be traced as to which modem is damaged, which isn't, etc. So out of any abundance of caution that in relation to it, one will have to make sure all of that is in place before you respond to all the issues.
He pointed out that the issue was compounded by the fact that neighboring air traffic control centers in Cuba and Miami, which would normally provide support, were affected by Hurricane Irma. A 33-year-old woman died in St. Thomas yesterday after being struck by lightning. She has been identified as Marsha White of Worksyard, Port Morant in the parish. It's reported that shortly after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Miss White was catching water outside her house when she was struck by lightning. She was pronounced dead at the Princess Margaret Hospital. The murder figure for St. James continues to rise as a man was killed in Salt Spring yesterday morning. Dead is 22-year-old landscaper Vinroy Jackson of the area. Reports from the Montego Hills Police in the parish are that about 10:30, Jackson was walking along the road in Salt Spring when he was approached by men armed with guns. The gunmen opened fire, hitting him several times. He was taken to the Cornwall Regional Hospital where he was pronounced dead. No motive has been established for the killing. The police have arrested 3 suspects in connection with Saturday's double murder at a gas station in Morant Bay, St. Thomas. 57-year-old Christopher Higgins and 21-year-old Katrina Brown, a cashier, both of Morant Bay in the parish, were shot dead when gunmen attacked them at the service station. The police reported that they chased the getaway vehicle with the gunmen to the Mountain View Road area last night. This led to a gun battle with the men. The 3 suspects were arrested during an operation in the area. It's understood that shortly after 11 o'clock, a Suzuki Swift motor car with 4 men aboard drove to the gas station. The occupants opened fire on Mr. Higgins, who died at the scene. The men then went inside and shot Miss Brown. A number of taxi operators who ply the Bamboo to St. Anne's Bay route in St. Anne withdrew their services early this morning. The sudden withdrawal left commuters, including school children, stranded for hours. The operators complained about the pain of transporting their passengers on bad roads leading to St. Anne's Bay. They are calling on their councillor and Member of Parliament to immediately fix the roads. The Police Traffic Division has provided an update on the number of people killed on the nation's roads since the start of the year. Acting head of the Highway and Traffic Division, Superintendent Courtney Kubry, spoke with TVJ News.
We have recorded 218 fatal collisions, resulting in 236 deaths. The comparative period last year, we had 225 fatal collisions resulting in 273 deaths. So we have 37 fewer persons being killed on the nation road, which is a positive sign. But you know, as I said, I'll use this medium to advise motorists to drive with care and drive with caution.
The opposition People's National Party is again taking issue with the naming of Mount Salem in St. James as the first zone of special operations. PNP President Dr. Peter Phillips was speaking at a PNP meeting in St. Andrew Western on the weekend. The police initially said Mount Salem had 54 murders since the start of the year, but on Friday it released revised figures which showed the murders at a much lower figure of 7.
The most violent area. It worked out for a reason that we don't know, that the numbers quoted by the Prime Minister were the wrong numbers. That the place that the zone was declared was not the most violent place in relation to the adjoining communities. Hell popping loose in Clarendon, gunshot affair at town.
Meanwhile, the Mount Salem community in St. James recently held a community service fair as part of the government's Zone of Special Operations Social Intervention Program. Managing Director at Jamaica's Social Investment Fund, Omar Sweeney, outlined that youth skills, training and education was a focal point of the initiative.
Youth can come out here and engage with the Ministry of Education, Heart Trust, and speak to them about their deficits and what are, some of the things that they would be able to get involved with, because a big part of our mobilization today is to ensure that the unattached youth that exist within these zones are engaged.
That a medical outreach program was also included in the initiative.
So blood pressure checks, eye screening, dental and other such testing is available free of cost here today.
Resident of Mount Salem, though gracious for the initiative, says the Mount Salem community deserves an apology for the incorrect murder figures.
They need to apologize to everybody, to Mount Salem people. So the media, the Prime Minister, everybody needs to apologize to Mount Salem people, because that's public mystery. And you can't bring out news where you don't show up. So if they put out the news, the 54 murder in Mount Salem, and it's not, the Prime Minister and everybody, the media need to come and apologize to Mount Salem people. Because we go get bad name.
Manager of the local area planning branch of NEPA, Dwight Williams, says the agency has drafted 10 development orders in an effort to improve their planning policies. He was speaking at a recent JIS think tank session. He stated that approximately 60% of the island was not covered by development order. He highlighted the importance of development orders to the country.
So it is very important that we have new development orders that, based on the changes that are occurring, different lifestyles, population growth, issues with garbage collection, transportation, persons living in environmental sensitive areas, we need to prepare up-to-date development orders to address these issues.
Mr. Williams said all 10 development orders will be provisional by March 2018. The process will involve several stakeholders, including private sector groups, NGOs, as well as community members. The Agriculture Ministry is reiterating the importance of visitors traveling to Jamaica declaring all agricultural products entering the island. This measure seeks to mitigate against foreign pests and diseases that could threaten the local agriculture sector and the environment. Chief Plant Quarantine Produce Inspector in the Agriculture Ministry, Sanil Wilson, outlined that seeds, meats, plants and animal products and byproducts being taken into the island must be declared. The declaration must include items carried in checked baggage, carry-on luggage and shipped items. She further cautioned people against illegally smuggling plants into the country.
Returning resident, if you intend to carry any plant or plant products into Jamaica, you require a permit, and we ask, and all the permit will tell the exporting country is what is the requirement for taking in this plant.
Sanctions for illegal introduction of plant and plant products range from $50,000 to $200,000 and could also lead to imprisonment. We go on to regional news where more details are coming out of Cuba as 10 persons have been confirmed dead due to Hurricane Irma's passing over the north end of the island on the weekend. Irma made landfall in Cuba on Friday as a Category 5 storm, blasting into seaside towns and causing flooding in low-lying area of Havana. Winds of 125 miles per hour ripped roofs off buildings, uprooted trees from the ground, and forced evacuations. It's still not clear how the 10 fatalities happened. In news further afield, Irma was downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm this morning, but that did not quell the threat of more destruction in the coming hours. The storm is still hurling 70 miles per hour winds, plummeting cities in northeast Florida that had not expected to feel its full wrath. Emergency workers in Daytona Beach rescued 25 persons with a high water truck after they were suddenly caught in an onslaught of wind and rain. We go to the CNN for more.
Where is it going? To the northwest. Where is it affecting the most right now? Anywhere from Charleston down through Jacksonville, with flash flood emergencies going on for record flooding. More flooding going on now than during Hurricane Matthew in Savannah or in Tybee. More flooding than 1964 all the way back to the 1860s before there were even gauges on the St. Johns River in Jacksonville. All because the wind is blowing the water here. It's the same surge you always get with a hurricane, but it's the surge on the north side. We talk about the dirty side, the worst side of the storm. This is now the worst side of the storm. Now, there is some surge going back into Tampa, but 2 to 3 feet. Not what could have been had the storm been slightly farther offshore. The storm is a tropical storm. It is 70 miles per hour. It is dying. It is disintegrating. There's enough of a high pressure up here that the winds will gust to near hurricane strength all the way through Georgia, South Carolina, and even southern North Carolina later on today. At least 70 mile per hour gusts all through this region. That will bring power lines down, trees down, and put more people without power.
We go on to sports, where the local track and field fraternity continues to mourn after yesterday's fatal motor vehicle crash on Hope Road in St. Andrew. Jamaica's world champion sprint relay representative Michael Campbell, who sustained injuries in that crash, is still in hospital. However, it is unclear how the rising sprinter will be impacted physically and emotionally as the tragedy claimed the life of his close friend and teammate, Jordan Scott. Here's Jeremy Brown with that report.
20-year-old Michael Campbell ran the third leg in the heats of the men's sprint relay in London, but was replaced in the final by Johan Blake. It was a stunning season for the former Midday and Jamaica College sprinter. In his first full year as a senior, he improved from 10.43 seconds last year to 10.07 seconds over 100 meters this season and finished a creditable fourth at the National Senior Championships to book his ticket to London. When our sports department got to the University Hospital of the West Indies on Sunday, members of the UTEC MVP group were present, along with persons from Jamaica College, where Campbell completed high school in 2016. His mother was also there, as concerns and fears swirled around the hospital. Also present was Paul Francis, a member of the UTEC MVP coaching staff.
He appears to be reasonably stable, banged up a bit. And the doctor has reported that, there, amongst other things, he has a, injury to his spinal cord, his back, a fracture. But he should be okay with some rest, moving along.
It is understood the car was being driven by Jordan Scott, another member of the UTEC group. Scott, a former Mannings and Petersfield High student athlete, is said to have been trapped in the vehicle, which caught fire before claiming his life.
Jordan is a University of Technology student athlete, as is Michael Campbell. Jordan just started third year. He comes from Petersfield in Westmoreland. He trained in his first year, got a stress fracture in his toe, and gave track a break for a year. He had announced to me very positively that he would be reporting for training tomorrow morning because he had fully healed and was ready to return to the track. But unfortunately, that won't be so.
Francis is also hoping that this latest tragedy will be another wake-up call for all athletes.
At this time, I think I'm old enough to understand that there are things in life we can't control. However, I am here thinking about what are the measures or the means that we can actually utilize to create some kind of positivity from the negatives. That is, so that others will understand that they are flesh and blood, that being careful has no cost, because, one would have hoped that after the unfortunate accident with Jermaine, which cost his life earlier this year, that at least for a period of time, that youngsters, particularly similarly inclined in athleticism, would have had that in their heads.
Scott was at 22 years old. Jermaine Brown reporting for TVJ Sports.
And we extend condolences to the family and friends of Jordan Scott. Well, that wraps up the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of our news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.